Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to this channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior. How are you doing?
Yo.
Hello. You're still fiddling with your camera?
Pardon?
Are you still fiddling, or can I present the glory that is your new webcam angle?
No, you can present it if you want to. It's just
it's a bit rantified.
Nice weather.
It's got a touch of the ranties about it.
Yeah, let me fix it.
Beautiful. So easy too. Have you got a tripod by any chance?
Nope. Just a little webcam, but just nice weather today, so it's like, hey. Beautiful. So what's going on with the 1 o'clock start? What's going on there?
Oh, I don't normally do the 1 o'clock show. I avoided it last week, and everyone was like, one show? And I was like, yeah, I got Spanish on a Monday. It's been like that for like a year. It's always been that way. But yeah, people don't listen. But today I was sat around doing nothing, and I thought, well, clean the kitchen, place is vacuumed. What else can I do? Might as well do the show early. We'll still run at 2 as scheduled.
So what time's your Spanish class?
4.
Spanish class with the fit teacher, is that?
I don't really pay much attention to how fit the teacher is, I'll be honest.
Come on, she can't even speak English yet. You can't be going for Spanish classes for any other reason than because she's fit the teacher, right?
But she speaks English and Spanish. It's probably a whole load of other languages she does.
Not the teacher. I'm on about Eleanor.
Oh, right. She doesn't speak English yet. She doesn't speak. That's
what I mean.
Yeah, but she sings along.
Must be going because the teacher's fit.
No. So you can sing Spanish songs.
I was having a chat to an ex-friend of ours last night.
Okay.
His name is Conspiracy Cats.
Oh, okay.
He thinks he's got an answer for you for the gas pressure existing next to a vacuum without a container, and having a gas pressure without a container.
Oh, well, that's filled me full of joy.
I don't think he'll join, but just let it be known that Conspiracy Cats has been, well, he has an answer, and I don't think he'll present it because he said that he doesn't want to come on because he doesn't want to be a bum boy or be a victim of the mute button or whatever nonsense explanation. But point is that he's now got an answer for you.
Excellent. So, I look forward to it.
Hopefully we'll find out what it is at some point, but I doubt it because I don't think he'll come on.
Well, I unsubscribed because I found him very disingenuous. So if he's presenting it on his channel going, why aren't you addressing it? I haven't seen it. I'm not watching. I don't care. But if you want to present it, I'll happily rip it apart.
Nah. I think it's better. I see him as a mainstream cook now on the official stuff. I've seen his the last video I saw was basically it adds zero critical analysis at all, and it just accepted the official narrative of the explanation what's going on. And when I presented the reason why I thought he was an official cook, he said, "Well, give me some evidence for why you think that." So I did, and we discussed it, and I laughed at him, and he thinks that I'm wrong to laugh at him, but he laughed back at me, and I'm like, "Well, okay, we can't agree, but at least I've shown you where the lack of critical thought is on your side." And if you're not going to accept that is actually a good demonstration of a lack of critical thought, then that is the problem. And he's become a mainstream cook. So that deals with the Conspiracy Cats. Be aware as well that Timmy is probably going to join the show towards the end because he thinks he's got you. I'll not mention for what, but I'm pretty sure that your trusty hands will be able to deal with him comfortably and just kick him out when necessary because he's a moron. I tried chatting to him last night after the show, and we had a back and forth for a bit, and then it dawned on me that I forgot that I was speaking to somebody that isn't here to discuss the shape of the earth, and he's just a moron, and he obviously left midway through a conversation just because he was trolling, not because he believes that we live on a sphere. Anyway, shout out retracted for Tim.
Fair enough.
So are we going to go through housekeeping quickly?
Is there any point? There's only 2 of us here. Although I do just generally get the same answer, even if there's 10.
Yeah, I think there's a point in doing it.
Well, you might have some answers. Maybe that was a hint. Any signs of curvature, Anthony?
No, I haven't seen any credible evidence for anything that looks like anything like curvature. Lots of atmospheric distortion of some kind, optical or otherwise. But basically, it's any opportunity to call obstruction curvature, the ballers will take it, demand that it is curvature obstruction, and demand that we accept it, and we look at it, laugh, and realize that you guys will accept anything if it looks like it supports your narrative. Again, without any critical thought whatsoever, you'll accept it if it looks like it might be a curvature obstructing it, even though there's like mirrored floaty stuff. Ridiculous. So no.
Fair enough. Hopefully I'll get Zachary Zabala back on at some point, and we'll talk about the Rayleigh criterion and Aries diffraction, various other aspects of things that they have hijacked in the begging the question, perspective hijacking, proof of nothing curve calculator. But yes, moving on. Any signs of axial rotation? Specifically? No, I don't even need to qualify this with you, do I? Any signs of axial rotation?
No, none. If anybody thinks that the stars prove anything to do with the axial rotation, you're mistaken. Because I don't believe there's actually a way of asserting or proving that you are actually antipode to what you believe is the, quote, North Star or the North Celestial Rotation Point or the North, whatever you want to call it. I've had this conversation with numerous people, and there's different techniques, and all of which have got failures to them in that you can't actually prove that you are antipode, and nor can you prove that you are actually opposite. If we were on a sphere, that you're actually opposite the place that you believe. And the reason why I say that is because everybody points to the horizon at a bearing angle that they interpret, consider, or accept to be the opposite point to where you are, being whatever angle it is. They point to the horizon and say, that is north. And then you say, really? North's actually through the floor. So you're supposed to be pointing through your feet. So they point laterally to a point on the horizon that they deduce for however they've done it as north. But actually, it's obviously through the floor. And people don't get that concept. They point to the horizon and point that that's north. Well, that would make it a plane. Actually, it's underneath your feet. You've got to point through the floor. And nobody has presented any proof of how you can prove that you are antipode on a sphere. Even if we're not antipode, just prove that you're opposite north in the right place. And you can't do it because you can't see north. You haven't got a way to reference it. Anybody that claims that shadows are, nope. Anybody that claims that the sun rises in the east, nope. There was a disagreement over whether or not all the stars went in the same direction after the show yesterday with Tim, because he took issue with my point, which is for everybody on Earth, all the stars rise in the east and set in the west. Now, obviously, they're taking a circular path if you're in the extremities, but that circular path is denoting a direction when I state all the stars rise due east and set due west. And he said, well, Polaris doesn't even move. And I'm like, right, but I'm not trying to assert that all stars do. I'm asserting that the direction that all the stars take is east to west. And he says, no, they're not, because Polaris doesn't move. I said, I don't care about Polaris. The stars all go the same direction. And that is, of course, true. So this rotation point indicating that we might live on a sphere? Absolutely not. It doesn't indicate anything about the shape of the Earth that we're on. It doesn't indicate that we're on an axis. All it is two blades of a Chinook helicopter in the sky. That's it. Doesn't go any further than that. So no, there is no evidence of axial rotation.
That's scientific evidence of gravity.
There's no evidence of gravity. None. Not even like pseudoscience definitions of gravity. I mean, I know what Arwen's position is, and while he's not here, I tell you what I'm going to do, Nathan, while he's not here. I'm going to show you a really good contradiction, right? Let me just bring up Newton's first law of motion. We all know this. Right, let me screen share and let me show you the contradiction, right? Are we on?
Indeed.
So this is just like literally the first definition I found. Newton's first law. Let's see if we can find it. An object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction. And this is the most important bit. Unless acted upon by an unbalanced force, right? It's the word force that's the issue. Because we see with the egg that's displaced, like it's hovering in the water, it's suspended in the water. We see that egg's not having any forces acting on it whatsoever, if there are any forces at all, because it's not moving, right? But we know that we can add a little bit of salt to the medium, and that will force the egg to change its position, and it will physically move. Now, the question is, has there been a force applied? Now, you can take two interpretations of what Newton's first law states, because you can say, well, of course it's moved. Force equals mass times acceleration. You have an accelerating mass, it's moved, therefore you must have a force. And if there is a force, obviously the force would have to be therefore gravity. However, you see that there is no force, there is no physical interaction. So the movement that we see doesn't satisfy the definition of the word force within physics. Generally speaking, and we've done it many times, you need it. It's a push or a pull, and there's a physical interaction. So what we're not seeing with the egg, we're not seeing that physical interaction, the push or the pull. We're just seeing a moving mass. So on the one hand, you can argue, well, Newton's first law is right. It moves, therefore there must be an unbalanced force. That must be gravity. On the other hand, you could say, no, it doesn't satisfy the definition of force. So whatever we're seeing, it fouls this first law of Newton's, which states that it must be a force. Well, we're seeing something that's not a physical interaction. It's not satisfying the definition of force. So it's like, well, what's going on here? Is Newton's first law actually true? Because his first law literally points to this force being gravity, right? Literally, it says if it's moving, it's got to be a force. Well, we know that we didn't apply a physical interaction. We didn't apply a push or a pull. So whatever's going on with the egg seems to defy this first law of motion. But they will use this to prove that gravity is the cause, because Newton's first law states that an object will stay at rest unless there is the application of an unbalanced force. But they can't prove this force thing by their own science. So I'm going to say, well, if they can't prove that it's a force because it doesn't satisfy the definition, but they need it to be a force because it's a movement, that's the only way that you can have this nonsense known as this fiction known as gravity. Because otherwise, it's not a force and it's just moving because we've changed the density of the medium. But either way, that egg literally does not satisfy this definition. So I can only conclude that Newton's first law of motion must be wrong, because you can't have the egg moving because and calling it gravity because it doesn't satisfy the definition of force. And equally, we don't see the interaction of any force on it. So something else must be going on. So the egg displaced in water that's hovering, it's fouling this first law of motion, because although actually you could say, well, it actually isn't, because it's staying at rest because there's no force being applied on it. But then when you change the density of the water around it, it moves. So where's the force? And whatever force is there, it's not satisfying the definition. So, but either way, though, this first definition is under the challenge now, because again, no force, it's not satisfying the definition, and we make it move by changing the solution of the density, or the density of the solution. So something else is going on, and this first law of motion cannot be right, and the egg proves it. What do you think of that? This is where you've gone for a drink.
No, I was just leaving the pause to see if you had anything to add. You might have been just taking a breath. So, any evidence for the distance to the sun?
I want to know what you think about this before we move on. What do you think? Do you, like the egg in the water, is it fouling the first law of motion because it moves without any physical interaction?
Is there any motion?
There is.
What's
when
the
you
motion?
When you add the salt?
No. The egg suspended, you started by saying, now you're talking about adding things. So the question you asked was when the egg is suspended, right?
Yeah, when the egg's suspended, it's not moving. There's no force. So
right.
That would be dealt with by the second part, which stays in motion with the same speed as an object stays at rest. So that deals with this bit there. So the egg stays at rest unless a force is applied. That bit we're all right with. But it's the second bit, because it becomes in motion at some point. An object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction. So basically, an object stays at rest
in motion?
unless acted upon by a force.
That's what I said to I can't remember who it was I was talking about it with it last, but it's a happy tomato. Why is it having to move?
Yeah, but when it does move.
But what do you mean when it does move? It's not moving. We're looking at a happy cherry tomato sat in oil. It's not moving. It's not doing anything. Right? So there's no motion.
Correct. But when we make it move by changing the medium density of the water, does that satisfy what's highlighted in blue? Because it states in this first law of motion that unless it's acted upon by an unbalanced force, well, we can make that egg move. But that's what, and I would argue that it's not a force.
Hold on. You're saying unless it's acted on. Well, you're acting on it when you change the medium, right? Well,
I am acting on it.
There you go. There's your answer.
Yeah, but is it by an unbalanced force?
You're acting on it. So unless acted upon. So when it's not acted upon, there's nothing going on. Just a happy cherry tomato or a happy egg doing nothing, not moving.
Yeah, but it's this bit underlined. Is when we act on it, are we making an unbalanced force by adding salt? And we can't be, can we? Because we're not.
Yeah.
We're not applying a push or a pull, and there's no phisical interaction, right?
You're acting on it. I don't really understand why you're doing so well.
What I'm doing is I'm challenging what's written here for Newton's first law, because the egg doesn't move, and then we add salt to it, so we do act on it. But is the salt an unbalanced force according to the definition? And I would say it's not. It's not an interaction. It's not a push or a pull. What do you think?
Fair enough.
Come on, you can't sit on the fence.
Sitting on the fence. I'm just doing something else right this second, hoping that you'd give me a little monologue to sort it out.
I've just given you a massive monologue. What more do you want? All right, well, I'm going to state that the egg that sits in the water...
Perfect. Arwin, what do you think? Do you think a force is acting when you add salt to the solution?
Forces are always acting. Salt just increases the mass that contracts the force applying.
Yeah, but mass isn't a force according to science.
No, I know. It contracts the force. It's
not
susceptible to it.
It's not, according to science, mass is not a force. They only say that weight is a force. I didn't say
it was a force. I say it is susceptible to force. The greater the mass, the greater it is susceptible to forces being applied.
Did you wet the bed today? You're up early.
Yeah, very early.
So what's the situation then with this egg? When the egg's at rest, it'll stay at rest unless an unbalanced force is applied to it. I'm going to state that when we add the salt, we don't add a force. We just add salt. You've got to argue somehow that the salt is a force. How are you going to do that?
No, it's mass.
I agree. It's mass, but
right, you add mass. It dissolves in the body, and that increases the overall mass, causing the.
But do you realise that
realign?
Do you realise that contradicts Newton's first law of motion?
No.
Okay, so an object will stay at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Well, you've just agreed that it's the mass, and I agree, it is. But that's not a force, because mass is not force.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, an unbalanced force, a force disequilibrium, is always applying. But there's just one problem. You can't prove it scientifically because you can't vary it. But it is deducibly there through many.
Yeah, but if we can't prove that the salt is a force, you've got absolutely no chance of
I never did that. I never said that. You keep on asserting that. I don't. Well,
you said that the salt was a mass. You said that it changes the mass.
Susceptible to force. That's what I said.
Yeah, but if we can't make the salt into a force, you've got no chance of arguing for a force that we can't even prove that's there. The only way we can get Newton's first law of motion to be satisfied with the egg.
I'm trying to prove gravity using your experiment.
I'm not saying you are. What I'm saying is Newton's first law of motion is in question with the egg that starts to move when you add salt. Because Newton's first law states that the only way it'll move is by having an unbalanced force. Well, adding salt is not an unbalanced force. So unless you can argue, not you personally, unless science can argue that the application of the salt somehow becomes an unbalanced force, then this Newton's first law of motion is under the spotlight, because he states that it needs to be an unbalanced force. And I'm going to state that, well, adding salt is not an unbalanced force. Like you said, it changes the mass. So that seems to question the first law of motion by Newton, right?
No, it's not the same. You're misusing the tool. It's not meant for that. It's not meant to describe density or buoyancy.
An object at rest, the egg, stays at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. So what makes the egg move when we put salt in the water? It's obviously something to do with the salt.
Displacement, the mass is changing.
Right. But
So
Newton
that
says...
causes the entire buoyancy alignment to realign itself.
Yeah, but that's not what Newton says, though, is it?
Mass.
That's
Yeah,
not what Newton says.
doesn't deal with this stuff. It's not his field.
What are you talking about? Newton's laws of motion is the main reason why people think gravity exists.
Yeah, and density and buoyancy is a different department.
I agree, but look at what he says on screen. It's on screen right now. An object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force.
Right. Well, he's mostly talking about solid objects in air. He never really dealt a lot with like fluid dynamics and all that stuff. It was very basic.
I agree. But the problem
so
is...
it doesn't apply. You're misusing the terminology.
I'm not misusing the terminology. I'm asking, how does it apply? I'm not misusing it.
Like, how does entropy apply to this?
Right, he's not referencing entropy, though, is he?
Yeah, exactly. So
right, but he is referencing movement.
Irrelevant.
He is referencing motion, though, right?
Yeah.
So an object that stays at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force.
That's right.
Force being the key word, right? But we can make that egg move without any force.
It's already able to move because there is a force being applied that allows the displacement to happen by changing the mass.
No, you right. Listen, if you're 1 sec.
Hilarious.
How are you, Armin? You good?
Huh?
No, not really. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied.
Of course you're not happy. You're wrong. It's never happy.
No. Listen, Newton's first law is really simple, right? An object won't move unless you apply a force. Where we don't apply force, but we get it to move. I'd like an explanation. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, and it's not about gravity. It's about why does the object move when we're not applying a force?
Because
all we're doing is
mass
adding salt.
Changing. In this case, you're using the mass as the variable.
But that's not what the definition states, though,
you
is it?
can do in these types of experiments.
Yeah, but that's not what his law states, though, right?
Right. Because it's the wrong department. It doesn't approach it like that. It doesn't deal with that kind of thing. He never did.
He's dealing with motion, right?
Not in that context.
Absolutely in that context.
No,
the egg will remain at rest.
Where have you ever seen Newton mention buoyant effect or things like surface tension? It's fluid dynamics. It's a different department. He deals with solids. That's what Newton is about.
The eggs are solid.
Yeah, but it is in liquid, and he doesn't deal with that kind of thing.
The atmosphere.
You can see his liquid dynamics laws and everything. That would be really interesting.
Arwin,
because
the
I don't
atmosphere
think
is,
there are any.
Arwin, the atmosphere is treated as a liquid.
No, it's a gas.
But it acts like a liquid. It's treated as a liquid.
It's a gas.
It's treated as a liquid.
No, it is treated like a gas. It is liquid. It is the liquidity, as it were, is an ability of it, but it is not a liquid. It is gas. And gas happens to be liquid as well. It's not a liquid.
Air is a gas. Blah, 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 blah. Gas is one of the 4 distinct phases that matter can exist in, the others being solid, liquid, and plasma. Let's find one. Okay. Gas is in Earth's atmosphere.
Starting to sound a bit like Rumpus.
No, what I'm saying is
reading out loud all these basics. Yeah, duh, I know that.
Yeah, but what I'm stating, Arwin, regardless that you think that the atmosphere is not a liquid, it acts as a liquid.
It isn't a liquid. It is liquid. It is not a liquid. You keep on misspeaking yourself.
I'm not misspeaking. I'm applying
you are. You're calling it a liquid. It is not a liquid. It is liquid. It is not a liquid.
It's treated as a liquid.
It is treated as liquid. So not a liquid.
Sorry.
So you're
saying
stop.
The chat's got a correction. So Bill G and is it? I can't read that. Says it's treated as a fluid.
Correct.
Indeed, not a liquid.
Whatever. Point is that the egg, is still at rest. So what's the force that makes it move? Because you've got to somehow make salt a force.
Gravity.
No, you need a force. Gravity's not a force.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. There's no evidence of it.
Yeah,
None.
That's right. But
hold on. This is where I can get back on track and hopefully round out the housekeeping. So, Arwin, any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
There's no evidence whatsoever of gravity.
No, there is plenty of evidence.
That's where
There's no evidence of gravity.
Until next time, we're not going to have a whole hour of this. So,
I know.
Right,
and
fine.
I'll do it again and again.
Hold on, but the point being, Arwin, it's got you to the point where you've either got to give scientific validation to your assertion of gravity or accept that there's no scientific evidence. There isn't, so that's the end.
No, it's not the end. It's
okay, well, okay.
If you
hold on.
doesn't make it the end.
Hold on, I've got to take control. So, Anthony, ask him again. And then I'll repeat my assertion that he's got no scientific evidence, and then we can move on. Hey, P.
Stop wasting my time. You already got my answer. You already got my concession. You get it every single time it comes up.
At some point, Arwin,
trying to milk this.
At some point, you're going to assert that it's a force, and when you can't provide scientific validity to your assertion, that is the end.
Well, it wasn't the end for Newton.
No, but he is cited as being Superman.
No, he never admitted to a causal relationship. He never admitted to a hypothesis.
Let's just ask the next question.
The force was still accepted by him.
What force, Arwin? Have you got scientific evidence
gravity,
for this?
The force of gravity.
Have you got scientific evidence for it?
No. He still was working on
Arwin, I don't want to do this for the next hour. So, you don't have scientific evidence to back your assertion of this force. End of story. Let's move on. Any evidence for the distance to the sun?
There is no distance to the sun.
P? Mr. 93 million miles? Belief in R? Any evidence for those beliefs?
Why are you asking me?
Because you're a dope.
You believe in R?
Like miles away.
I think you guys are dopes.
I'll take that as a no.
Correct. Nope.
Oh.
You guys are delusional.
Okay, just add homs. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nope. No.
Hey, Warren.
Oh, yeah.
No. Last but not least, got there in the end. Only 30 minutes into the show. Any evidence of the presupposition of the R value itself? That presupposition the globers make, P. Any proof of R?
You didn't say radio.
It's not a presupposition.
Oh, so you have evidence of R then, P? Let's have a look. Hi, physics.
Hello.
Anybody got that tumbleweed sound effect while P goes and gets his scientific evidence of the R value he claims is not a presupposition?
I'm not a scientist.
No, you're a poker player, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind where you get this evidence from, P. You don't have to produce it yourself. Just reference what 2,000 years of globe belief has given you.
No thanks.
No, that's because there isn't any. Just a presupposition of it, P. That's the point.
No, you're an idiot.
Yeah, excellent rebuttal. That concludes the housekeeping. Thank you very much. Good to have you, new guests.
You're delusional, Nathan.
Yeah, ad hom. More ad hom.
So, where are we now? I want to know. I still want to know how salt can become a force.
It's not, and I never claimed it is.
Right. So that means that Newton's first law isn't right, then, right?
No, it is. It just doesn't apply in this scenario.
Well, no, it's a law, so it applies everywhere, right?
The force is still applied, as always.
What
and it
force?
is gravity.
What force? The salt isn't a force, is it, Arwin?
No, it's mass that is increased.
Right, but mass isn't a force according to Rumpus.
No, but mass is the thing that is susceptible to forces.
I
All
agree.
forces.
I
Yeah,
agree.
right, including gravity, which is
Well,
ever present.
Let's not mention the word gravity at this point.
Yeah, I damn well will mention the word gravity. Gravity, gravity, gravity,
exist,
gravity.
Arwin, it doesn't exist.
Not
but
mass
nonetheless,
attracted to mass, but a disequilibrium force downward universal.
sure, I'm all right with something else being at play, but the gravity.
Oh, yeah, it's just gravity allergy. So you're just being pedantic, are you?
No, I'm just attacking.
Yeah,
what they
you
call it.
are. You are. You're just being annoying and picky.
No, I agree with you. There may be something else, but what they tell us
That's
is
right, and I
gravity is
call
not
it gravity. Gravity, 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 gravity.
Can I ask a
You understand
question?
gravity, Darwin?
May I ask you a question, Riley?
If you want, I'll have Isa write a special song just for you about gravity. It's just going to be the word gravity over and over again.
I bet you he doesn't do it.
Go ahead,
Well,
P.
You never know.
Are you good with
So
Anthony? Anthony.
I showed the Cavendish. I know you guys don't think it's an experiment, right? I showed that, was it yesterday or a couple days ago? So what do you think? You obviously see the balls moving, right? What do you think is making them move? And
Magnetism.
we know it's not magnetism.
Yeah, it is.
Or air current.
I don't think that. I think it's a fraud experiment. I don't think that any of them balls ever move at any time. I've never seen anybody validly repeat it.
Didn't you see the test I showed? The balls are moving.
Yeah,
Sorry, hold
but
on.
you can't isolate
Why
the
are we
cause.
doing this again?
Yeah, you can.
Why this ham-handed segue into discussing a pseudoscience parlor trick? First, give us the hypothesis for the experiment. Then we'll assess the...
No. I just
we'll
want to
assess-
know. My question is, what is causing the balls to move?
Who
we see the balls
cares?
moving.
Sorry,
Magnetism.
maybe you don't see the significance of my point then, P. Mars. Right, if you're
Oh,
going to claim...
absolutely. You don't even make a point. You're a moron.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but you're rumpusing me. The point is that if you're going to
No,
claim
it's
it's
not
an
a point.
experiment, providing us with scientific validity of something, then you must first provide us with the scientific prediction, so we can see whether or not that prediction panned out. Now, in science, a prediction is a hypothesis. That's why I keep asking for it.
Look, I don't care about the semantics.
It's not semantics, it's the scientific method, you absolute tard. We're not talking about semantics, we're talking about a methodology. And that methodology gives you the result that you want. Proof of something, in this case gravity. So if you want to scientifically validate gravity, you first give me your scientific prediction and then your systematic experimentation demonstrating it providing validity to that prediction. In this case, the presumption of a cause. That cause being gravity. Your assertion without scientific validity. So I don't want to discuss the minutiae of what the test does. Who cares? First give me your scientific prediction, then we'll have a look at the test. First observation of phenomena, then hypothesis, then systematic experimentation. In that order. We don't start with the experiment. We start by observing phenomena. Simple.
I don't care about
It's not
that.
semantics,
I'm asking
P.
a
You said, I don't
question
care about semantics.
Why are the balls moving?
Shut up and listen. It's not
Shut
semantics, it's a method. Not semantics, a method. Science, sunshine.
I don't care if
I
about.
don't care if it's science. I don't care if I prove the cause. I'll just assert it anyway based on what these balls
I'm not
do.
making an assertion, Nathan. I'm just asking a question that you never answer.
I am answering you. Unless you are to assert that this is scientifically valid, I don't give a crap what your parlor trick does.
I don't care. I'm not.
All right. Well, if I show you a little magic trick with cards and then go at the end, proof, gravity, and you say, well, no, the card trick is in no way associated with gravity. And I go, no, but let's discuss the minutiae of the card trick. No, I don't want to discuss your parlor trick. I want to discuss science. And if it's science that you're asserting is happening, it would have a hypothesis. It would establish a cause and effect.
I'm not
It would
talking about
have
science.
an independent and a dependent variable. The
I
effect
never
being
mentioned
the
science,
effect.
Nathan.
Let's just pander to you. Let's
I
just
didn't
say
even-
your
I'm not
effect.
talking about science. You're
Let's
talking
pander
about
to
science.
P Mars and say that the effect is valid. That we see balls attracting balls. So your effect, your observed phenomena, is balls attract balls. That's the effect. The cause, according to you, is gravity. Correct, P?
Holy crap, Nathan! I didn't say any of this stuff.
So what's the point in talking about the balls then? So are we just talking about balls? Are we just here to talk about fairground fun? What's the point of talking about these balls?
A very basic question. That
Why are we talking about balls then, P, if it doesn't prove anything?
Because he likes
I can't prove anything to you, Nathan. You're retarded.
No, you can follow a methodology that does prove things. The scientific method proves things. If you're here asserting that this nonsense is science, then I want to know the scientific prediction that came before the experiment. I don't want to go straight to the experiment and have you assert that balls are attracting balls. If that's your effect, if that's your observed phenomena, then I'm going to say what's causing it. And if you're going to assert gravity, I'm going to go, how are you varying and manipulating that gravity? Why you rumpus me when I get to the devastating truth of your religious belief in this apparatus? It doesn't prove gravity. If the cause of the effect, balls attracting balls, now I am pandering to your balls, okay, P? You all love balls, don't you globe heads? Well, I'm pandering to them. They're attracting each other. That's the effect. That, according to you, is the phenomena you're observing. Okie dokie, the cause of that effect would be gravity. Something that you can't vary and manipulate. Again, invalidating it as a sound scientific experiment. It's not just a parlour trick, P. So I don't need to go into the minutiae of what the parlour trick does. I'll rip it a new asshole by asking a simple question. What's the hypothesis? Simple. You don't want to give it me, you call it semantics.
Nathan, I'll grant you it's not science, okay?
Right. P Mars, the first honest baller. So, who's going to back P? Is somebody going to come on the panel and say, P's wrong, it is science? So you don't have any science for your gravity? Yeah, we know P.
Well, I mean, I can't have a conversation with you about science because you don't know anything. So I was just wondering, like,
that's just an ad hom. That doesn't attack any part of my debunking. It doesn't attack any part of my ripping Cavendish and you asshole and you conceding that it's not science. We already know that, dickhead. We've had to drag you kicking and screaming for the last few days through that fact that it's not bloody science. So who gives a crap? If you want to establish a cause, you better science it, mate. And this ain't science, is it, P? So if you're going to assert a cause, gravity in this case, if you're going to assert that as the cause, then you better damn well science it. And as you've just pointed out, this ain't science, sunshine. So I don't give a crap what cause you assert to this parlour trick. It ain't science.
You don't know what you're talking about, Erwin.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
About.
It's not science. Why are the balls attracted to each other?
It's not freaking lead. It doesn't even look like lead. It's ridiculous.
Can you answer one question ever? You never answer any of my questions, and you ask me all these rhetorical questions.
What's your hypothesis for the Cavendish? What's your hypothesis?
You keep on coming on this show.
What's your hypothesis?
I told you it's not an experiment.
Yes, we know it's not an experiment. So why do you think we give a crap what this parlour trick does?
I don't care. I'm just.
So why are you bringing it up? You're here telling us the Cavendish needs discussing. You need to discuss these balls moving in this parlour trick like it proves something. It doesn't. How many times?
I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just asking a question.
What about a magic trick that some arseholes do to prove that gravity is real? Oh no, they're just arseholes tricking you, P. Hadn't you figured that out yet? You're being tricked by magicians with parlour tricks. They don't prove anything. They're not science. You don't establish a cause with this parlour trick. So who cares?
Yeah, I agree. But why do the balls attract each other?
It's a magic trick, P.
It's just, okay, it's a magic trick.
Yes, it's not science, so it matters not how the magician manipulates his parlour trick. It matters not, because it doesn't have a hypothesis. It's not science. It's not establishing the cause. So who cares? Who cares how the magician's floating? It's just a trick,
What do you
P.
think?
Doesn't matter. It makes no difference.
What do you think causes the pressure gradient in the atmosphere?
Who cares?
Oh,
What does
okay.
it prove? What does a pressure gradient prove?
I'm not saying it proves anything. I'm just
So
asking
who
what you think
cares?
causes
Like I said,
it.
who cares?
Who cares? Okay.
Yeah. How do you retread tyres, P? Absolutely no
cares?
relevance to anything we're
cares?
talking about, but let's just see if you know the answer to a random question. Because, like I said, who cares?
Okay, who cares?
Yeah,
Sweet.
so you're asking questions about pressure gradients. Doesn't seem to matter. Doesn't seem to make any difference to the conversation, P. So you're bringing up nonsense.
Okay, I'll just never answer any of my questions, I guess.
What's the point of your question? What is your claim? What's the point of your question, P? What are you claiming?
Who cares?
Well, no. What are you claiming? Don't ask me a random question.
Who cares? Who cares?
Make a claim. Make an assertion.
I don't care to.
So why are you here?
To troll?
Bye, P.
All right. Bye.
Off you go.
Nice talking to you, Joe.
Well, at least he admitted Cavendish isn't science. Not that we didn't know that already.
At least he was gracious enough to admit that he was trolling.
Yeah, true.
I was going to ask him, how does he know that we've got a gas pressure? Alas. M. Scott Veach in chat thinks that gravity is proven.
Oh, yeah.
But then
What's the experiment?
Cavendish. He thinks that Cavendish proves that gravity is true. Embarrassing. And he's an astronaut as well, or he's the son of an
Did he not
astronaut.
just listen to the last 10 minutes?
Pardon?
Did he not just listen to the last 10 minutes? The effect
No,
observed is balls attracting one another. Now, if we were to take the experiment stage as the observed phenomena stage and pander to this crap, you'd go, okay, so we're observing the effect of balls attracting balls. What's causing it? Oh, gravity, you say? So the cause, otherwise known as an independent variable, something you will vary and manipulate as a researcher, the cause is gravity. How are you going to manipulate that as a researcher, M. Scott Veach? What do you think you are? Do you actually think you are gods? Like lying daddy who thinks he's a god travelling to heaven in his little rocket penis? No, you're not God. You can't manipulate this force that you claim exists, M. Scott Veach. You unbelievable Dumbo. If you think you can vary and manipulate the cause, gravity, then show me that, you tard. You're not a god, idiot. Neither was Daddy. He wasn't travelling to heaven in a penis rocket. Just lying to you, and you're dumb enough to believe him.
Yeah, research Dick Earth, M. Scott Veach.
Yeah, and I gave you my Skype address, so if you want to debate me, that's fine. You gotta add me, though. Can't keep claiming that, oh, nobody wants to debate with me if you're not actually gonna engage with somebody that has an open invitation.
Who's claiming that? M. Scott Veach?
Yeah, I did in chat earlier.
Nobody wants to debate him. Dude, there's a link there. You're welcome to join at any moment, and we all know why you won't. Because Nathan will bully you about Daddy being an astronaut and telling everybody lies. Not that nobody will debate you. It's just everybody knows that you're a liar.
So, M. Scott Veach, are you gonna take my Skype address and add me so we can talk? Right, yeah. Well, add me on Skype, okay? Right. So, I still haven't received the Skype invite. I'll be waiting.
Has he rounded up?
Anyway, let's move on. Ah, P has left, I see.
Oh, did you not kick him? I thought you kicked him.
I kicked him.
Ah.
What?
Faye
I thought you couldn't.
says that he won't debate because I'll bully. That's
wait,
not debate, Riley. Well, the thing is, Faye, if someone starts lying, it's not a debate either. And M. Scott
Hey,
Veach
Mark.
has no proof of.
Hi, gentlemen. You okay?
Yes.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, folks.
How are we this beautiful evening, afternoon?
Hang on, I've still got me. This is a beautiful day, isn't it?
It is lovely. I thought it was getting worse by the weather before. Now it's suddenly got amazingly better.
Yeah, over here.
Don't trust the BBC.
Do you know, it's ridiculous because Arwin will say what his weather is like in his area, and it generally matches what I've got where I am. Yet
Yeah,
we're
we're
hundreds
very
of miles
close to
away.
each other, dude.
Huh?
It's not that strange.
Well, it is.
You have some.
It is when the
you have
BBC.
some-
We're
Something in
right
common
across
with that.
each other, practically.
Yeah, I know, but I look across to the Isle of Man and I can see different weather systems that they have that we don't have. Like I can see when it's raining over there, for instance, and we're having
Nah,
nice
but
weather.
that's you gotta. It's not. Yeah, that's like if there is local rain or not, but just the general weather.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
How
the
it is
BBC can't even
distributed.
tell
We're
me-
pretty much in the same region, mostly.
You know, the BBC can't even tell me that it's going to be good weather or not. Yet when you tell me what your weather's like, it's often very similar to mine.
That's just coincidence. Sometimes you guys describe it's raining and then it's pretty good weather here, so it's not always the same.
All right. Well, you see my screen now. Is your weather matching what my screen's showing?
Can you move around a bit?
I can.
Are you in St. Bees?
Well, you got a lot of clouds. Here, it's only minor clouds. I'll show you.
And where
Are
I
you
am,
in St.
no
Are you in
clouds.
St. Bees, aren't they?
I am.
See, I got more blue sky.
I think he doesn't realise he's unplugged his mic as he's moved his camera around.
Okay.
Is that me?
You're back. So once this little tete-a-tete is over, I'm hoping Mark will plug a Flat Earth meeting that's going on. So let me know when you guys conclude this, and I want it right at the end of the show, just before I round out, which is in about 7 minutes.
You're seeing this already?
Yeah. You got less cloud than me, but you still have cloud. Just a little bit.
It
less.
is kind of
What is-
windy though, and
Yeah, it's exactly the same here. It's windy and it's like
And-
we seem-
fresh.
No, we would argue over anything.
Is it like
seem
really
to have-
fresh weather there? Because it is
do.
kind of cold.
we seem to have identical weather regularly, and it's like, that seems to be a little bit weird.
Well, we're in the same region, so
Well, we're not really, are we? We've got the whole North Sea separating us.
yeah, but the weather systems surround that, so it's just a region. That's how turbulence works. Just look at how the weather charts. There's usually a big circle, whatever, going around the sea in between England and Scotland and the Netherlands, and that line. So the weather is usually going to be very similar because
But most people
it's surrounding
realize-
the same typical depression areas, and what moves over England usually always moves over the Netherlands as well.
Most people realise or accept that it's the water bodies that actually control the weather. It's like that is the weather.
Indeed.
Anyway, my point is that just watch. You'll notice that your weather is often very, very similar to ours, and I don't know how it can be.
I know.
Anyway, point is, doesn't matter. Mark,
Well,
How's
I'm going
life,
to read
gentlemen?
this. I'm going to read
Just
this, and then we're going to go
explain
to Mark. So I'll start off this process by reading what Mark's put in his info box on his video.
That
So I'll pop you guys on mute. I'm sorry. So come and join us for the first Flat Earth meetup in Ireland at the West Lynn Dublin Hotel, November the 3rd, 2018 at 3 p.m. with guest Paul on a plane from Truth Frequency Radio. Watch the rest of the video to the end. Oh, no. I was hoping there'd be more. So there you
Maybe
go.
more information.
So tell us a bit more about it.
Well, Paul on the plane, one of the big spokesmen in Flat Earth. Sorry,
how did you get in here?
who?
You, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
because We kicked you.
Who is 1, 2, 3?
I can see him right there.
No. I mean, who is he? As in, hello,
Yeah.
how you doing, new guest?
Nope.
Kicked everybody.
You're muted.
Kicked him out.
Okay.
Okay, carry on, Mark.
Okay, Paul on the plane, a big voice in Flat Earth with True Frequency Radio has family in Ireland, and he's over in Ireland in November. As well as, strangely enough, Travis is over in Ireland at the same week. So the two of them have got together and said, let's do a meetup. And everything's fallen into place. And we've got a hotel to meet up in, a 5-star hotel. It's not a conference, so there's no charge. We just want people to come along and say hello. Swap stories, swap arguments as well, for we're living on a plane. And it's all going to happen. Everybody's welcome. Everybody in the UK, it's not difficult to get to Dublin. I know it can be an expensive weekend, but if you've got the spare cash, Dublin's a great city to visit for the weekend. And you can meet up with the rest of the guys. I've got the invitation or the information on my YouTube channel, which I've just posted. Hopefully we'll see you all. That's it.
Cool.
Marveliso Splendido. I've put the link in the chat, so if you want to check out Mark's video, it does have some lovely music on it. I will admit that, Mark.
And some nice photography.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, did you happen to catch the little conversation Riley and me had?
When was that?
Right before you joined, pretty much.
No, you're on early. I thought I was coming in pre show, but you're an hour into it. So yeah. I'll have a listen later on.
Cool. It was interesting. Riley basically outright declared when I described the disequilibrium of forces, the entire thing, and he said, "Yeah." As soon as I called it gravity again, said, "No."
So I was contrasting against it. I wasn't talking.
No,
about
but that is exactly what I call gravity.
Yeah, but
Anthony, have you changed your position?
That's the funny thing. It's just you don't like the word.
I say one thing, Arwin interprets it to mean something completely different. I then correct him, and then he thinks that I'm being funny with him, and I'm like, no, I'm saying that the egg moves all by itself with salt. So according to
no, that's not what I was referring to.
You've interrupted
and I already
again.
explained it to you how that.
Now
works.
you monologue it. Right, listen carefully. Newton's first law states that an object will remain at rest unless a force is applied to it. But with the egg that's suspended in water, where's the force when we add the salt? So it's like either somehow the salt's got to become a force.
Hello. No, you're constantly going on that same path again. I already told you how that functions.
Right, but Arwin, do you know what, Arwin? I don't give a shit what you say about it. You're not listening.
No, you're not listening. You're clearly not listening. Newton himself considered gravity as a force. That's how he treated it. He didn't.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know what to do. You've probably done it already. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!